This is what I looked like when I was still struggling to figure out how to get the weight off. It was so frustrating because I genuinely thought that I was doing all the right things, but boy was I wrong. And in comparison, this is what I look like now. Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. I am Stasia and I have recently lost, wait for it, 40 pounds in the last 6 months following a plant-based diet. Now, before we get too excited about that number, in case it's your first time landing on my channel, I just want to throw it out there that this was a long time coming. I've actually been following a plant-based diet for years, and I always struggled to get the weight off. So the fact that I'm down 40 pounds in the last 6 months is still mind-blowing to me. However, I know exactly how I got the 40 pounds off, and so that's what today's video is going to be about. So it's just going to be a quick recap of everything I've done to lose this 40 pounds, as well as a life update / progress update about the month of November and how things went for me. So I'm trying to catch the light, but this lighting is a little bit crazy right now. So hopefully it's all gonna be okay by the time I'm done editing it. But at any rate, before we jump into exactly what I've done to get this weight off, in case you missed my really big Black Friday sale on all of my weight loss recipe ebooks, the first 25 people by the time I release this video will get a copy of my book at 50% off. So if you did miss that sale, my apologies, but hopefully you can jump in on this discounted price. As you're gonna find out a little bit later in today's video, my brand new weight loss recipe ebook is basically the blueprint to how I got this 40 pounds off and how I'm still getting the rest of the weight off. But I won't get into it too much here because it's part of what we're going to be discussing today. Okay, so as the title says, and as I already mentioned in my intro, I am down 40 pounds. 40 pounds. Now, a lot of you have been sticking with me since the beginning of my weight loss journey. You know who you are, so I'm sure that you guys can appreciate my excitement over this. It's incredible to me. It truly is incredible that I'm down 40 freaking pounds. I'm just so excited. I can't even express it. So in the month of November, I lost a total of 4.6 pounds, which is almost 5 pounds and quite remarkable considering I did have that slip up. For those of you who follow me, you might recall this video where I talk about how, I kind of got a little carried away with the Halloween candy in my house and slipped up a little bit and what I did as a result to get back on track. So, if you haven't seen this video, it can be very humbling because it just goes to show that, we can all make mistakes sometimes on our weight loss journey. We can have slip-ups. Nothing is ever going to be perfect or linear in a weight loss journey, but that doesn't mean that you have to throw all of your efforts in the garbage if that does happen. So I would really recommend checking this video out so you can kind of see what happened to me during the month of November. That was earlier on in the month of November, and how I kind of got back on track. So if you want to check out that video, I will have that posted in the description box below. But with that being said, I was kind of shocked that I had such a dramatic weight loss considering I did have that slip up. I really was hoping that if anything, that I would break even this month, that I didn't gain. I know a couple of you in my comments have even asked, did you end up gaining from that slip up with all the Halloween candy? And I can't say for sure, it's very possible that maybe I did gain a little bit, during that time, maybe that week or something, but I don't weigh myself all the time, so I have no way to say for sure if I did or I didn't. But what I do know is that, my overall weight loss for the month is still, totaling 4.6 pounds. So I'm taking it. I mean, maybe it could have been more if I didn't have that slip up, but I'm not going to stress it. I'm still going in the right direction. And honestly, that's the only thing that's important to me. So the takeaway message from that is that if you slip up, if you feel that you're even off track right now, keep pushing yourself because, one day of bad eating or 1 week of even bad eating, it's not going to destroy all of your efforts up until that point. So if you find yourself spiraling, just push yourself to get back on track because it's the long-term consistency of what we do that really makes the difference anyways. This light's getting a little crazy on me again. I'm really sorry. Not much I can do about the sun, but I'm just gonna keep pushing in the video, so sorry about the lighting. All right, so as far as what I've been doing, I've still been sticking to the same thing I continuously have been talking about on my channel, and that is by omitting my overt fats. Now, I put out tons of videos going into great detail about this, some of my more recent videos, so you can definitely, feel free to stay on my channel and check out some of my more recent videos, even just going back the last 4 to 6 weeks, and you're gonna find a lot of good information that I get into there. But in a nutshell, I have omitted any type of overt fats, which include things like avocados, nuts, seeds, nut butters, of course, oil. These are all super calorie dense. And these are all things that I was eating constantly while following a plant-based diet for weight loss, but the weight wasn't budging when I was having them. So by fluke, because of some gallbladder issues, I decided enough is enough, and I was getting rid of my overt fats, and the weight just started melting off of me. Like literally those first 8 weeks, 20 pounds gone. I couldn't believe it. So I thought, okay, well, my gallbladder's feeling a lot better and I'm feeling a lot better. The weight's melting off, so we're gonna keep going with this. So that is exactly what I did. So these past 6 months, I haven't eaten any overt fats and the weight is still coming off of me. Now, while I was losing those first 30 pounds, I was keeping track of everything I was pretty much eating because I knew that all my followers were gonna wanna know exactly what I've done to get this weight off. So I was really diligent about keeping track of the exact meals that I was eating the most of so that I could put together this ebook, as I mentioned before, as a blueprint to exactly what I've done to get the weight loss off. To me, if my channel represents anything, it's really wanting to speak to those who are really struggling to lose the weight, especially when following a plant-based diet. Because I know I've been in your shoes where I watch other influencers or I read certain books or listen to certain doctors, that promise that if you do XYZ, that the weight's just gonna fly off effortlessly. That was not my story, as I've discussed a lot on my channel. So I really had to dig deep and kind of figure out, what works for me. Not Susie over there, not Billy Joe over there, but seriously, what works for me? And it wasn't until I did that things started to shift. I wasn't able to just eat as much as I want and fill up on starches all day long as there was no oil. I wasn't able to get away with having, a little bit of overt fats such as my avocado toast or my nuts and seed dressings, even though in my mind I thought it was just a little bit. That wasn't working for me. So eventually I had to make some bigger changes, and those changes ended up being eliminating the overt fats. So in my brand new weight loss recipe ebook, you're gonna find recipes that don't include any overt fats whatsoever, as well as no breads or pastas. And while I do have other wonderful whole food plant-based recipe ebooks, which I still enjoy recipes out of those from time to time, there are a lot of recipes that do include avocados, nuts, and seeds because at that time I was eating them still. Okay, so another thing that I've still been keeping up with are my fiber protein shakes. These are still a huge staple in my diet. If it's your first time landing on one of my videos and you have no idea what I'm talking about, well, these can also be found in my weight loss recipe ebook. They are fiber protein shakes that I created and that I've been drinking them every day pretty much on this weight loss journey. The star of the shakes are beans. Now, don't let that scare you because I promise you, you cannot taste them. I have designed them to taste really delicious, like birthday cake flavor, Snickers, Reese's Pieces Buttercup, just to name a few. And when I tell you they kind of taste dessert-like, I am not kidding you. And this is part of the reason why they've been able to help keep me on track, because not only do I look forward to having them because I like the way they taste, but they also keep me super full. And so they're just really convenient. Whip them together super fast, and they usually are able to carry me until my next meal. So I've been having a lot of them, and even though there's no fat, like no nuts or seeds or anything in them, the beans have a really incredible way of giving this rich, creamy texture, similar to some type of overt fat in a shake. So they're just really satisfying in like every way. They really keep you full, and they really just kind of hit it on the head when it comes to flavor and all that good stuff. So I've been having one of those mostly, for my breakfast. It's kind of how I start my day. And then sometimes it's in, the afternoon. I even have a small one for a snack sometimes as a pick-me-up, but they have seriously been a huge part of my weight loss journey, and I'm still loving them. Birthday cake flavor is my absolute favorite, by the way. A lot of you have wanted to know if I've been exercising at all to get this weight off. And unfortunately, my answer is no, I have not exercised at all. I'm not proud to say that, by the way. I mean, I guess on one hand, it's kind of good that it's possible to lose this weight with no exercise, but it's also completely embarrassing that my answer is no, because from a health standpoint, I absolutely should be exercising. I just haven't got there mentally, but it is definitely something I'm wanting to do. And just with the new year around the corner and everything, like I'm really trying to get into this mode that I'm like, I want to step it up a notch. I want to be able to find an exercise that I'm really going to enjoy and stick with. It's probably going to accelerate my weight loss, but even if it didn't, I think the idea is that exercise is just healthy for us, period. So we should all be moving our body, you know, a little extra every single day doing something. So kind of on my own self about that, but I will definitely update once I do start incorporating exercise, and I'll let you guys know what it is. Okay, so the next thing a lot of you have wondered about are breads and pastas. So like I was mentioning earlier in this video, I did stop eating breads and pastas along with those overt fats, and I really just tried to focus on wet starches such as like beans, potatoes, sweet potatoes, that type of thing. And I found that it made a really, really big difference. I just felt fuller filling up on potatoes or rice than I did bread. I just felt like bread, even, you know, the nice sprouted grain bread that I would buy, it just didn't keep me full for very long. I would feel like I could eat a sandwich or a piece of toast and, you know, like an hour and a half, I'm kind of hungry again. I could eat again. So I found that potatoes and beans, they just, you know, take me a lot longer. So I decided to swap those breads out and trade them in for something that would keep me fuller. So that's not to say that breads and pastas are the enemy, because there are some really wholesome, clean ingredient type of breads and pastas out there. But just for me, that's just something that I decided to try, and it worked. Both bread and pasta are not trigger foods for me. So they are actually food that I could eat occasionally, and it's not going to really trigger me into, you know, getting into a spiral the way that Halloween candy did, for example. So I could have, you know, a sandwich once in a blue moon or some pasta, you know, once in a while. So that's perfectly fine. So if I want it, I will absolutely have it. It's not like the overt fats where, you know, if I were to have pasta or bread that I'm scared I'm going to kind of just, you know, eat too much of it or continue to eat it or something like that. So the breads and pastas don't really scare me. The only reason why I really cut them out was more or less just because A, they did kind of bloat me a little bit, and B, they just didn't fill me up the same way that I found that, you know, beans and potatoes and rice filled me up. So I'm still going strong with just kind of focusing on the wet starches, but like I said, the odd sandwich or the odd pasta, you know, once in a blue moon, I would totally have it, not a big deal. But for the most part, no, I'm not eating breads or pastas. Okay, so snacking, what are my thoughts on that? I'm still doing the same thing, and I've actually got into a really good groove with snacking. Snacking used to be an issue for me, a really big issue for me. And I also fell into that trap where I thought that as long as I was snacking on, you know, clean, whole food, plant-based foods, you know, oil-free, that it wouldn't really be that big of a deal. It was a big deal because it was still putting me in a calorie surplus instead of a calorie deficit. So I wasn't losing weight when I was, you know, snacking kind of around the clock. So I don't really snack. Now, here's the thing with snacking. I also don't deprive myself. So if I need a snack, like if I truly need a snack, I'm hungry, I'm gonna have a snack. But what I do is I focus on eating fruits, raw veggies, a green smoothie, or one of my fiber protein shakes, just a smaller cup of it, as a snack. Those are pretty much my 4 go-tos when it comes to snacking. And again, that's only if I truly need it. So I've kind of gotten the whole, you know, mindless snacking or boredom snacking, whatever you want to call it. I've got that under control finally. So I can see food in front of me, but I always ask myself, are you actually hungry? Or are you just eating because it's there? So I don't snack if it's just mindless snacking, but I will snack if I actually need a snack. So I hope that that makes sense. Oh, this lighting is crazy. Sorry about it. But anyways, so as far as my starch goes, so basically I like to fill up on non-starchy veggies, whether it comes in the form of my cheesy zucchini, which is my absolute favorite, or a huge salad, or just, you know, some steamed veggies, whatever the case, I will fill up with a ton of non-starchy veggies. I consider those to be like my filler foods, and then I top it off with some type of starch. Mostly potatoes. I do love my rice bowls as well, but I always find that if I'm in a rush or if I'm really hungry, you know, the potatoes are kind of my go-to. My rice bowls are kind of when I'm like really craving something more, like with more flavor, you know, more textures, something like that. That's when I really enjoy my rice bowls. But if I'm just, you know, needing something fast and quick and easy, then it's usually some type of potato dish along with my non-starchy veggies. So I just make sure that I eat enough starch to keep me full, because those non-starchy veggies are only 100 calories per pound. So you can fill up on them, but you're gonna be hungry like 45 minutes later because they're gonna burn off really, really fast. So they don't sustain you. So you can't, you know, trick yourself into eating just non-starchy veggies and immediately feel full and think that that's gonna last, because it doesn't. So it really needs to be a combination of enough non-starchy veggies that you're, you know, feeling nice and full when you get up, not too full, but you know what I'm talking about, no longer hungry or wanting for anything. And then as well, that you're also eating enough starch that you're not going to be hungry 1 hour later. You want to be able to be full for, 3 to 4 hours until that next meal, and to be comfortable not having snacks kind of in between those meals. One thing I want to throw out there is that I haven't been hungry losing this weight. Like, I really haven't been hungry, and I find that that is a really important detail to mention, because usually when we think of losing weight, we think of going hungry, like starving ourselves to get this weight off. So it's actually quite remarkable how I haven't felt hungry at all losing weight this time around. That's really what's so truly amazing and magical about a whole food plant-based diet, is that you end up getting a lot more bang for your buck, calorically speaking, when it comes to eating food, that you actually can eat quite a bit and still lose the weight, so you don't ever have to feel hungry. Once you start to understand and play around with calorie density, it starts to make more and more sense of how it works and how you can kind of manipulate it to how you want it, so that you're actually feeling full while getting the weight off. All right, and lastly, just staying away from junk food. Now, I used to believe that, moderation is kind of key to everything, and maybe it is for some folks out there. Maybe that's what works for you. Again, health and weight loss is not a one size fits all. I truly believe that. So what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. But for me, moderation was just dangerous territory, because when I had a little bit of this or a little bit of that, that could really set me up for a spiral that I don't want. And that's exactly what happened, with that Halloween candy in that video I was talking about earlier. It just really kind of sent me on this spiral. I felt so out of control. The little bit of candy turned into a lot of candy, and yeah, it was just really, really bad. And that kind of showed me that, I still obviously have some issues, with eating food or regulating the sweets and that type of thing, knowing when enough is enough. And that food is just addicting. So, while I'm sitting here blaming myself, there's also some truth in the fact that they put a lot of stuff in this food that makes it super, super addicting. So it's really hard to actually break out of one of those food spirals if you find yourself in them. I'm not a never, ever, ever type of person. I never say never. So it's not to say that I would never indulge in anything again. I would absolutely never say that or even think that. But it is to say that I'm very careful about my choices, because I know that I'm not exactly there where I have complete control over my food at this point. So for me right now, during weight loss mode, I'm feeling much more comfortable just kind of staying away from that type of junk food altogether. I'm really learning that it's okay to say no. It's okay to be uncomfortable, in certain situations where you want something, you might be tempted, other people might be eating it around you. It's okay to be uncomfortable for just those few minutes, is because what I find is that moment passes eventually, and you're not even thinking about it once it passes anymore, It's really just a struggle when you find yourself in the moment, but as soon as it passes, you're not even worried about it or thinking about it. So it's okay to be uncomfortable for a few minutes, really wanting something, or, watching someone else eat something that you might want to be eating that's not the greatest for your health or weight loss goals. But I've gotten comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that in itself is teaching me how to have a little bit control over myself with food. All right, everyone, so I think I'm going to leave the video here. This was just a recap of what I've already been doing these past 6 months. I really haven't done anything too much different in the month of November. I'm just keep it on, because what I'm doing is working. So for me right now, I don't really feel the need to tweak things too much, because I'm still consistently losing weight. If I get to a point where I stall out and I'm having troubles getting more weight off, then I might have to go back to the drawing board and try something different. But I really appreciate the pace at which I'm losing weight as well, because while I did lose those first 20 pounds in 8 weeks, the rest has kind of been between 4 and 5 pounds a month that I've been losing. And I would say that's a pretty healthy, steady weight loss. I still have about another 30 pounds or so to lose, so I'm just gonna keep on doing exactly what I'm doing. And if you're not subscribed to my channel and want to continue to follow along my weight loss journey, then be sure to hit the subscribe button on your way out, because you don't want to miss any of my future videos. I share everything that I've been doing. I try to be super transparent, especially once again, for those of you who have struggled like I did, I want to show you that if I could do it, this girl right here, she did it, then you can too. And those are not just, fluffy cliche type of words that are coming out of my mouth. I genuinely mean that from my heart. I'm 40 pounds down. Like I can't even believe I'm saying that. I'm 40 pounds down doing exactly what I'm doing. So that means that if I can, you can too. And I really hope that you do. Also, if you haven't seen one of my more recent videos here, this is a pretty popular video right now discussing all the rules that I don't follow any longer on a plant-based diet. And because I broke those rules, they were the very thing that allowed me to start losing weight. So I'm gonna have this video also posted in my description box below if you wanna go check that out. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you guys are all enjoying your holidays. So much more fun to come. Hope that you're staying on track, and I'm looking forward to all of your updates and my comments. I've been getting a ton of them, emails. Keep them coming. They motivate me more than you know, so I love hearing from all of you. And again, if you'd like to check out my brand new weight loss recipe ebook, that link can be found in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and we will see you all in the next one.